Morning, everyone. Today we are going to be going through the onboarding process. Some of you I know have probably done it. So what we want to do again is just accomplish that you guys are ready and prepared for onboarding and just utilizing all your tools to the best of what we need you guys to use them for, of course, right? So I did have a few questions on people asking me with regards to like setting up their email. So again, all this stuff is just basically so you guys are utilizing your tools that you have here, whether it's marketing, your email, Optimal Blue, all that good stuff. For pricing and all that stuff, just keep in mind, guys, it's going to be something separate with Ruben. So if anybody does have any pricing questions, please feel free to contact Ruben and let him know that you guys want to go ahead and set that up. He'll take a moment to walk you guys through how to price and all that good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing that I want to go through is usually when we have anybody here, our onboarding process, we do, we do have an agenda. So we usually do like in-house introductions. If you guys are in the area, as you guys, here's my orientation agenda. We do office introductions, introduce you to all our people here. And as you can see, I know that it does look like it's like a 2-hour thing. Sometimes we go through it within an hour. Sometimes it does take a little longer depending on questions you guys might have. I did put questions towards the end, but I'm definitely up for pausing within the items just to make it easier on you guys. So we're going to go through email setup, then your team setup, downloading Encompass, setting up your MFI. If you guys have a lot of this stuff, I'm willing to skip through it. Just let me know what you guys want to do. So for today, we're going to go ahead and start with the email setup, something that I just learned how to do and I wanted to teach you guys is adding these little apps down here. So I really, have been also trying to learn stuff to also make it easier for you guys. So the first thing you guys want to do to set up your email is once you guys download, again, I use the Outlook version of online simply because if you guys want to email somebody in-house and you don't have their email, our Outlook version online has our full directory. So you can literally start typing anybody's name and, and it'll have their stuff here. So their email addresses will already be on here on our directory. This is the reason I do use this one. So for setting up your email, you want to go here on this little gear here. You're going to go to view all Outlook settings and you're going to go to compose and reply. Now, you guys can set up more than one email address. So this one, it says Outlook web signature because I didn't name it anything. I can rename it if I want. But let's say you guys want to do one for replies versus your, you do have a default and of replies or forward. So let's say you want to do a shorter email for that. When you're replying or forwarding an email, you can definitely do that and add a second signature. When you guys go in, of course, we're going to definitely want you guys to have our iCore logo or information as far as the corporate MLS and the address. I know we do have some Temecula, some in Long Beach. So you definitely want to put your address of your location on here. If you have your NMLS for sure, please put your NMLS on there. I like to put myself on direct just because it's easier and I do have an e-fax. I like to put it like this. Again, it's however you guys like to do it, how your, your outro, your name, your title, if you want to put a picture of yourself. But I'm going to show you guys how to do this here. So when going in to add these, if you can tell when I hover over, it actually has a link tied to it. So I obviously already have a link tied to it. So let's say I add a picture. We're going to go ahead and click here. And for right now, just because I did not save a picture, I'm just going to add a random picture just to show you guys how to add it. So I'm going to click on this little company picture here. And it's going to be big, right? So you can definitely readjust it. So we're gonna go and highlight it where you can see these little dots, and I'm gonna make it smaller. And I could send you these. I actually do have, these logos if you guys like them, because I like that they're gold, of course, and it goes with our color scheme here in the office. So you can shrink this up to whatever size you want to have it, and you can add the link to your source. In this case, as an LO myself, I want to make sure that when they're clicking on it, they're going to my Instagram, right? So let's just go out here. I'm gonna just show you guys. I'm gonna send myself. So I sent myself an email earlier. I CC myself, right? So if I click on this link, boom, it now has sent me to my Instagram, right? So what I want is I want to be able to do that for you guys. So what you guys want to do is once you add that, you can highlight this, copy your link, and you're gonna again highlight this picture, and you're going to find on here, there's gonna be more formatting. The reason this looks a little bit offhand, because sometimes if you guys have enough space in your computer, you'll see them all, right? If you don't see it, click these little 3 dots and you're gonna see this link here. You're gonna hit insert link, and now you're gonna see the display. So as you can see, my display is this, right? And then you're gonna hit paste on here. You can do, I do, of course, my computer keyboard, it's Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. And you hit OK. So now this picture has a hyperlink to whatever you want it to go to. In this case, as you can see, if I hover over, it has a hyperlink to iCore Lending, and it goes to iCore Lending. This Instagram has a hyperlink to my Instagram, so it will go here, and my Facebook. And the cool part of this last one is, let's say you want to get reviews. You can go ahead and grab your link for the review section, right? So I hyperlinked it for that. They can hit Yelp, and they can come in and instantly just click write a review. So they don't have to go search for you. You know, so that's the cool part of being able to add these hyperlinks to your signature lines. And like I said, I can send you these logos. And if you guys need extra help walking through that, you guys can definitely ask me. But this is how you guys would want to set up your hyperlinks on your pictures at the bottom, and of course your signature line. So remember, once you're done with doing this, you want to hit save to your changes to make sure that this actually does save. If you decide to do a second signature, just simply click new signature. You can say reply signature, and then you start, you know, putting whatever information you want. Maybe you don't want a full on signature like the other one. And then you can just click save. And now you have 2 signatures, right? So you see this drop down. And then you'll go ahead and say for replies, all I want is for it to say, you know, thank you and my name. Then you can change that. And then just always remember to hit save. So you have the options to do a new signature for a new message and a reply and forward signature for those type of messages. Anybody have any questions in regards to the email setup? All right, so I'm gonna hit discard because obviously I don't want to change all the stuff that I already had on there. But again, guys, if you want these little hyperlinks, let me know. I'm happy to send them over to you guys. I'm sorry, not the hyperlinks, these logos. And then you can do the hyperlinks for them for your signature line. For the next thing that we want you guys to set up, you guys are not automatically going to have access to it, but we do want you guys downloading it. It's Teams. So why we want you guys to do Teams, let's say you're having some type of issue with your computer, or let's say with Encompass, you know, we had a loan officer who asked us, hey, help me out, I'm having issues with DU. I'm able to go in and actually take over your desktop. through this and help you navigate and find the issue. So you just simply click the download to desktop and of course follow the instructions from there. This one's rather simple to download, but when you download Teams, just like I mentioned, I have to activate it for you guys. So just let me know once you guys get them downloaded and I can activate it for you. But once you download it, as you can see, you can send out messages, chats, if you can send files, like for instance, you can see here that David has attached a file to me for, temporary buy down calculators. So you can send each other things like this without having to do an email. And then, like I mentioned, we can go ahead and also do screen sharing. So like, let's say you're having an issue with your computer, we can go ahead and do screen sharing through here versus having to set up a Zoom class. So this is already going to be in your computer. If you want to send out a quick chat to me, hi, and I need help with something, boom, you just simply go up here to the little chat button, you add my name, and you start typing the whatever chat, kind of like a text message. So, this is great for you guys to have, and it's important for you guys to have it because, like I said, if you guys have any issues with your computer, we can actually go in and take a look at what's going on your computer through this. So what this allows us, obviously it's with you guys giving us permission in the moment, right? So it's not like we could just jump in. So make sure you guys are downloading your Teams. If you guys need the link for this, I can definitely shoot it over to you guys so you guys can download this to your desktop. Anybody have questions on Teams? No? Okay, cool. So the next thing you guys want to go ahead and download will be your Encompass. You're going to be getting this email here from Lauren when you guys sign up, and this is going to guide you on how to do it. I know that it has all these links on here. It can be a little bit of a like, oh my God, which one do I click? Just simply click this second step here. You can hit the control button and click the link. And it's automatically going to take you to this instruction. This instruction is super simple. Click this link and you're going to see this pop up. Now, the whole instruction is going to let you know what to do as you go through. But I'm going to just kind of like show you guys. When you see this, you click yes, you're going to install, and it's going to start downloading. And we are going to navigate through Encompass a little bit because I did have a couple people asking me to navigate through it a little. So I do want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable with navigating through your Encompass. And it's going to continue downloading in the background. This is going to be the Smart Client ID code you're going to need. So you're definitely going to want to go ahead and copy this. When it's done downloading, it's going to ask you for that. This little section here, for some reason on this computer, it does give it an error, but you will want to go ahead and agree to it. You do need to have the Microsoft Visual. What that basically means is that you're able to open certain documentation into Encompass. So you're just going to click install. I know it's tiny, but if for some reason, I don't know, in this computer it keeps saying setup failed. You should not have that issue. So we're just going to click close. And as you can see here, it's downloading everything else. And it's really fast, if you guys notice. You're going to accept the license and hit finish. So if you notice, it's already installed so quickly already, right? So now what you want to do is you're going to actually go ahead and open. And it's going to ask you for that Smart Client ID. So remember, it's on that sheet that you get from the onboarding instruction. It'll be on there. So that's the ID you're going to want to copy and paste. Once you do that and hit log on, it's going to do an update. The update is just basically going to start continuing to download the full software into your computer with our information as iCore Lending. So you're going to see all these little pop-ups. And then it's just going to say, do you recommend an update now? Yes. So we're always just going to click yes. You definitely want to keep your Encompass up to date. Now it's going to say to please relaunch. And now we're just going to double click it. So again, it's doing its thing. It's continuing to download all the information. This is only going to happen the one time when you guys set up your Encompass. I just wanted to kind of show you guys what to expect, because sometimes I've had people be like, oh my God, is it supposed to do that? I want you guys to see what to expect when you're actually doing it. And you're going to get to here. Once you get to here is where you will go ahead initially, before you guys' transfer of your license, you're going to get the Cerritos login, which is the onboarding one. But once you guys get fully onboarded, you'll get your own logins. And once you put in your password, you'll end up going to your navigation page, which is your very first page you're going to see. Now, meanwhile this starts up, keep in mind, guys, if you don't have Adobe on your computer, please make sure you guys are downloading Adobe Reader. Don't go buying Adobe Pro if you do not need it. Adobe Reader is simply so that you can, you do need it for Encompass. Encompass is going to require Adobe Reader. This is a free download, and it's just to read Adobe PDF forms. You don't need licensing for it. You just need the reader. So just, to reiterate, don't buy the Adobe Pro if you don't need it. If you want to buy it, it's completely up to you, and it'll be up to out of your pocket.
Ahora viene esta Oreo.
No, the REO thing is next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was 8th,
No, the 9th.
Oh, okay. But do we have another training that maybe?
This is onboarding.
Oh, this is onboarding. All right.
So you guys want to make sure, again, if you guys want this link, you want to go ahead, I can go ahead and send it over to you guys, but you can do the free PDF viewer only for this. Again, if you do want to buy Adobe Pro, you are welcome to. It's not something that we do provide simply because it's not a requirement for our documentation, but Adobe Reader is, so that you can download and save your Adobe Reader. Your Adobe, your PDF files, I'm sorry. If you don't have Adobe, it's going to download into a web page. And a lot of the times it's not something you can navigate as best with Adobe PDF Reader. So Encompass is now downloaded. And this is what you're always going to see. This is going to be the default page. Sorry, I don't know why this is over here. Refresh it. Okay, cool. Sorry, because it ended up over there because I got out of the page. But this is always going to be your default page. It's always going to be different depending on what modules you guys have on here. So as you guys can see, it has news modules here. This here is always going to give you any classes or anything that Ellie Mae or Encompass is offering. You're going to see it here. So you're always going to see some type of news here. Here would be as if you're in the processing department, you're going to see loans here. You can see your referral sources here. Locks, let's say you're a processor, or even as an LO, you want to know when your locks are going to expire. You can see that here. So the modules are definitely something you can change, and it'll be up here on the add modules button. So you can change these modules if you'd like. Let's say you do want to use the appointment settings in Encompass. You definitely can, and you can have this module here. Your recently viewed loans, if you've been in the last 7 days, you've been viewing certain loans, this will pop up here. And let's say you have several loans that are locked and you don't know what the expiration dates, but you want to see that, you can add that here. So this is a perfect thing to view if you have several loans going, because you're able to see what's set to expire and if you need to extend it. So that's the cool part about your default page here. It has modules that you can use. And we're going to come back to Encompass right now. I just want to go ahead and show you guys the Optimal Blue. So Optimal Blue, when you guys go to price your engine here, This is going to be for, of course, your pricing engine. Now, I'm not going to go in depth of Optimal Blue simply because this is something, again, that Ruben does training one-on-ones with the LOs, because everybody's is different. Everybody's compensation plan is going to be different. So we don't want to, overstep on this one. But I did want to go ahead and show you guys what it looks like. Now, you can price in, I guess I have the wrong password. You can price in Encompass as well as, okay, I don't have the password. You can price in Encompass as well as outside of Encompass. Let's say you're in the field and you don't have access to your Encompass and you want to price out, you can definitely go into Optimal Blue and use your login and password. So I obviously don't have my password on here, but I'm going to go into one of my loans and just show you guys where you price there. So when you in one of your loans, this is where you would price your loans on here. So you would click this lock button, you hit search for product and pricing. And of course, here's where you're gonna always be Optimal Blue, and you hit submit. And hit continue here. And it will transfer all the information for this loan into my Optimal Blue, pricing engine. So it's automatically opening up my pricing engine right now. And it outside of Encompass, it looks like this. In Encompass, it's the same thing. It just looks like this. It just brings in that information for you to price out. So as you can tell, it's going to give you these little red dots, the same thing as it does online. It's going to give you those red dots on what is required to be able to price out your loan. If you change the price here, usually once you hit tab, it'll go ahead and put the appraisal amount to be the same. Your loan purpose, whether it's a purchase, cash out, rate and term, what type of loan you're doing here. Remember here, guys, if you're doing a rate and term and this is above $2,000 on conventional or $500 on FHA, it's going to give you an error and it's not going to price out your loan. So just keep that in mind. Of course, it's going to ask you for your FICO, your DTI, number of stories, your county, number of units. So remember to always change your occupancy to make sure that you guys are putting, whether it's primary, second, investment, what units it is on here. So it'll always pop up a single family, but you can change your units here. If you are pricing outside of the pricing engine, just make sure you guys are putting the city and county and what type of loan you will be pricing, whether it's a conforming, FHA, or VA, what years, whether it's fixed or non, because right now we are pricing those as well. And of course, we usually click the all product types depending on what what category it falls in under that loan. And then you click submit. And once you click submit, you're going to see all of the pricing availability for that loan. Of course, you just want to make sure that you are pricing it where it needs to be. Because, if it's like for instance, if it's like I brain farted, like a home ready or home possible, and if it's not falling under that category, you want to make sure you are not pricing it out for a home ready or home possible loans, which are the affordable loans. So just make sure you guys are taking a look at that. But if you do have any questions, just to reiterate, when we are looking at pricing, just make sure you guys are going with Ruben with that, because he is going to be your go-to guy. And again, if you guys don't know who Ruben is, simply, just click new email. You can just start typing Ruben, and it's automatically going to give you the only Ruben we have here, and he is Ruben Caldera, which is our pricing department. So again, when you guys use the online version of the Outlook, it's going to have the directory for you guys. Anybody have any questions on regards to Optimal Blue and how to look at it on Encompass? All right, so I'm going to move on to your MFI. Again, two ways to run credit with MFI. So again, MFI is our credit company that we use, would be outside of Encompass, and that would be here or through Encompass. So when you guys are setting it up, always remember your provider ID and company will always be the same for everybody, 402-8150. You just need your user ID. So once you guys have that set up, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to put it into your Encompass. I'm going to go to a current account right now. When you guys are going to run credit, you can run it under services or order credit here, which is services, or there's 3 places you can run it. Under borrower origination summary, and it's all going to be the same thing as long as your information is complete. It will be here, order credit, or under your liabilities page, which is your page 3. You can hit order credit. So either way, it's all going to be the same thing. It's just going to run through ordering your credit. You'll click order credit. You'll click MFI, hit submit. And here is where you want to make sure you guys are putting your information. Initially, when you guys start up, it might give you an error, and it's going to pop up error like, select product not available, error this, error. It's just going to give you a bunch of errors. That is okay. The reason it does that is because it probably does not have your login and password. So you're just going to make sure you get to this page here and go ahead and put your provider ID, your subscriber ID, your username, and your password. Once you have done that, you're going to click on this, and here it has my information. You're gonna click, see right here how it's saying an error happened while submitting your request. So watch, it's gonna give me all these errors, XML, all these errors, right? Once I put that on here, I'm just gonna hit refresh product. Now, most likely I need to update my password, and that's why it's giving me that error. But once you click refresh product, it's going to be okay. It's going to allow you to run your credit. So then you'll hit, you can, in here, when you're doing a new request on a borrower, you do have to complete all sections of this information on the credit card. So just keep that in mind. The reason for that is because a lot of our LOs are having the borrower pay for their credit report. Some loan officers are paying for it up front and getting reimbursed at the close of escrow. So just keep that in mind. You in Encompass, you are going to need to complete the entire section. The credit card type, account number, expiration, security, name, and a full billing address. And then you hit finish. If you ran it outside of Encompass and you want to import it, you're simply going to go ahead and get your, in this case, I already ran it. So when you run it, you're going to need to grab your credit reference, which will be on your credit report. And when you order credit, I'm going to show you guys, you're simply going to put import from website, and you'll go ahead and paste your credit reference on here and hit finish. So that way you're not like paying for it twice or anything like that. Once you are importing it because you ran it outside of the system, out of Encompass, you're still able to import it without having to re-enter all this information. Does anybody have any questions on setting up your MFI? No? Okay. So let me go ahead and sign out of this. I can't. Oh, you guys can make calls off of this too, by the way, on on that, if they have it. I've had people call me because they don't have my cell phone sometimes off of Teams. So just FYI, you guys can make calls of that. All right, so I'm going to get out of that one. So on here, it's going to give you the yellow, and I'm just trying to get my password really quick. But on here, when you log into here, it's going to just give you the simple yellow tools on how to go ahead and complete that. And that one is going to be super simple. You don't have to complete everything. Yeah, I gotta update my password. But in this, just make sure when you guys are running credit, make sure you guys are inputting first and last name, exactly how they're going to take title. Their date of birth is super important. You guys are putting date of birth. We've had it happen before where, I'm gonna give you a prime example. My dad and my brother have the same name. Their social security numbers are literally like, I think 2 digits off, which is weird. And when somebody ran my brother's credit for something, his FICO and everything was like wrong because they did not put a date of birth. So for some reason, my dad's credit was running instead of my brother's. So you want to make sure you guys are completing the date of birth, even though when you go into the MFI, it does not require it. We do need it on there because we want to make sure you guys are running credit accurately. So it is going to require first and last name, date of birth, social, address. And once you do go into the credit card section, it's going to go ahead and ask only for the credit card number and the name of the person who is on that credit card. So when you run it on here, they ask for less information versus when you run it on Encompass, and then it'll generate it for you. So I don't know why I got logged out, but I'll go ahead and move on to the next on that one. Does anybody have any questions on MFI? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you guys how to go ahead and add a new borrower onto Encompass. When you guys get in here, which is your default page, you're gonna go, let's say you have a new client and you're gonna qualify. You wanna go to contacts. And you're gonna click this little add button up here and it says new contact. So I have a bunch of borrower ones, but I'm going to show you guys here. So you're going to go ahead and the minimum required on here is your first and last name and social. If you want to put the address, that'd be perfect as well, but you can go ahead and skip that if you want. You're still going to have to put it in when you go into the application. When you guys skip through and just put the zip code, it'll already give you the city and county. Once you're done with that, you want to go ahead and click save and then originate loan. So this is a prime example of what you guys are going to see if you have any duplicate loans. As you guys can see, I do have some for training and that's why they pop up here. So you want to just make sure that you're not seeing that some of these are actually, that Mr. Superman is not doing another loan with another loan officer in-house. So you want to create a new loan. It's always going to pop up this loan folder as prospects, and then you hit continue. And now it's generating the application for you, and you're always going to end up here first. So this is the default page. Here you want to make sure you guys go ahead and click this little microscope button and go ahead and search for yourself as the loan officer. If you are not the loan officer and you're a processor or a loan officer assistant, just look for your loan officer here. Click your loan officer's name, hit OK. And if you're the processor there, you can definitely also look for yourself. And our processors are here. If you're not here, please, by all means, go ahead and let us know and we can add you on here as the processor if you're a processor. Then you will go ahead, and this is the way I like to complete my application. We'll go to forms. I click these 2 little buttons right here. Let's see if I can make this all smaller. My first page I end up going to will always be borrower summary origination. And I start completing my application appropriately, right? So borrower's first name, last name, social, date of birth. Their phone numbers, whether it's a cell phone or home. Keep in mind, guys, with our Simple Nexus system, you do want to put it on cell phone if it is a cell phone, because it will send out text messages to them. So if you guys put it in the appropriate box, you want to make sure you guys do that. Their marital status, whether married, unmarried, or separated. Again, email address, make sure you guys are putting it in there. When we have the Simple Nexus set up, They do send email updates through the email address they have on here. So, please go ahead and put that appropriate here. Their disclosures, whether it's their initial disclosures, closing disclosure, loan estimate, all that good stuff gets sent out to that information here. This section here, you guys don't really have to complete, but if you want to, some of us like to do it. I don't know, I like to complete every little box if I possibly can. So it's always seeking a mortgage. Applications are usually good for 90 days, and it's applying for a mortgage. Here, just make sure you guys are putting how long have they been currently at this address. Remember, you do need a minimum of 2 years. The reason why this is important is because when you guys run DU or LP, it'll kick it back saying that there's an error on residence. I know it's kind of weird, so if you don't know, just put 0, 2 and 0. Whether they have no primary, own, or rent, it does not care if you put an actual rental amount, but if you want to complete that, you can. If your borrower is buying a secondary home or an investment, make sure you guys are clicking this little housing button here and putting, let's say that you have a first mortgage, make sure you guys are putting it on here because this is where your DTI is going to count. So this is only an issue that we have seen come up when it's a secondary home or an investment purchase. For primary, we don't need this completed. That's okay because it's going to read the proposed, not the present. But for secondary and investments, you guys do want to make sure you're completing this, especially if they have HOA dues, or let's say they have a HELOC, anything like that. You guys want to make sure you're completing this on this section. And that is here next to your housing. And you complete this section. So that's going to be a big factor on your DTI. If you already have 2 years and there is no previous, you can just click does not apply. Also, another thing, let's say you don't have a co-applicant. Let's say this is not husband and wife. So if you have husband and wife, you complete this section here. If it's not husband and wife, let's say it's a brother and a sister buying together, then you're going to click the no co-applicant button here. Because even though there will be another borrower, they're not a co-borrower in the sense that it's not a spouse. Then I'll show you guys how to add that second borrower. And then we'll go ahead and go down the line. Again, this is where we order credit. And once you order credit, you do want to make sure you do let us know if it's authorized, the credit, when it was authorized and how it was authorized. I will show you guys the wet signatures we do need for our initial submission. But you guys run credit. This is going to auto-populate their FICO scores and the decision-making score. Sometimes it doesn't really do it when you have 2 borrowers or a first and a second borrower. So you guys want to make sure you're getting the middle FICO of the lowest borrower. So let's say you have a borrower who has a 640 and another one that has 720 mid FICOs, you are going to put the 640 here. Why? Because this is the decision-making FICO score for your pricing engine when you go to price. Anytime you're putting any new file, whether it's a refinance or a purchase, if you have the address, please do not complete the address. Go ahead and put TBD, only TBD. The system is a little bit weird. When I've seen people TBS or TBA, and it automatically requires you to send out disclosures. For some reason, don't know why, but so TBD, please, on the street address. You can put the property zip code if you want to. Again, if there's only one city in that zip code, it'll auto-populate your city and county, but do not put the street address. Reason for this, let's say we're in a busy month and we've got 10, 15 submissions in the day. This will trigger alerts here that you need to go ahead and disclose this file. And remember, we only have 3 days to disclose a file. What does that mean? You have 3 days to send your borrower your initial loan estimate, which is your loan disclosures. So this will allow for our disclosure department to go in and put the street address for you and finish the disclosures in a timely manner without you getting your alerts. Because once you pass that day 3, guess what you guys need to do? You need to redo this whole application in a brand new borrower. because the system will not allow for us to backdate due to TRID loss. So unfortunately, if you guys complete everything and you complete the street address, it will not allow for us to, disclose the file if we have passed that 3-day mark. And the reason why sometimes we can't pass the 3-day mark, escrow's not open, the borrower hasn't made a decision yet, so you're still trying to, work with your borrower to go ahead and, let's say it's a refinance. Let's say the borrower, because this is really, really, really what happens a lot right now. Let's say the borrower is purchasing, you have an address, right? You want to put the address, but they have not wired the earnest money to escrow. About 90% of escrow companies are not giving you fees right now to disclose your files because they're like, well, no, there's no earnest money, there's no file, right? Well, guess what? Some of these escrow companies are taking 3 to 4 days to give you those because the buyer has 3 days based on the purchase agreement to wire out those funds. If you put an address here and they waited those 3 days to wire those funds, you have now lapsed on your TRID regulation. So the system does not auto-populate fees, unfortunately, for title and escrow. It only does the lending fees. And this is why we do need those fees from the escrow company. And if the escrow company is not giving you those fees, you have now lapsed your TRID timeline because escrow is not giving you that information, right? So the best thing that you can do is just put TBD. Property type, you definitely want to go with what type of property it is, whether it's a condo, manufactured home, PUD. If it's a single family, then we go ahead and put detached. Your estimated value, if it's a purchase, just put the same amount as a purchase. If it's a refinance, just make sure you guys are trying to make sure you're getting the as close as possible to your value of the property. We've had people, say, well, no, it's like about 600,000. And then we get the prelim come in, and guess what? Our LTV is not there, and it does, it's not a doable loan. So again, value, if it's a purchase price, if it's a refi, just try to make sure you guys are trying to get your value on that. Your construction method. GUNLP is going to give you an error if you don't put a construction method. There's 2 sections to complete that. This is the first one. So whether it's a site-built or manufactured home, you want to go ahead and put that. The majority of our homes are site-built because they're not new construction. We move on here to your loan program. Transaction details, this is going to auto-populate once you pick your loan program. So you want to do your little microscope here. And it's going to populate all the loan programs that we have here at iCore Lending. It's mostly broken down for conforming loans, not more conventional and FHA and VA. So whether it's a 15-year, the ARMs, conventional, whether it's cash out, no cash out or a purchase, FHA. So you choose your loan program here. So once we have selected that, we're going to hit OK. Now, keep in mind the amortization type, for some reason on FHA always goes to ARM. So make sure you guys are clicking fixed on here because you are going to have a little discrepancy up here when it populates. And this is why I chose FHA, so you guys can see that little error. Your closing cost, if you're going to provide a closing cost to your borrower, you want to add your closing costs here. And you just click the FHA closing costs. And I'll show you guys where you would see that there. Your loan documentation type, you don't really need to complete that, but most of the time it's full doc. Once you have hit your loan program, it's going to auto-populate these sections here. So the only one, when you are doing FHA, just make sure your amortization type is fixed, unless you're doing an ARM. But with FHA, for some reason, it defaults to ARM. So just make sure you're changing that. Of course, here is going to be your loan information. Whatever your note rate is, you want to go ahead and input that there. Let's say our purchase price was $750. So now my LTV is at 100%, right? Because I don't have a loan amount. Well, now I'm going to go ahead and add my loan amount percentage, and now it goes ahead and changes that. So when running DUNLP, let's say you're pricing something out, you're just doing a pre-qual, make sure you're changing this. Let's say their DTI is still 30%. You're like, oh man, let me try to qualify them for a little bit more. Granted, loan limits apply. you can go in and maneuver this, but let's say you forgot to change your estimated value up here. Make sure you're changing that, because when you do go to run DU or LP, whether it's conventional or FHA, it's gonna give you an error. So, or it's gonna give you an ineligible or a refer, because your purchase price and your estimated value, you know, you need to have that pretty much matching, unless it's of course a refinance. So that is it for the borrower origination page. We are now going to jump into your early lender. So I know some people are telling me, well, where do I go in and put my insurance and all that? This is where you're going to put all that good stuff. Here is where you want to make sure you're letting the system know how many units it is, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4. Make sure you're putting that here. And it's important because that's how the system is going to know if it's units or not. So that's pretty much all you need to complete here. If you don't know the year built, that's okay. We usually, once we go to do the disclosures and all that stuff, we will make sure we populate the other items. So what we're trying to do is accomplish here is for you guys to get to know your system as much as possible, but also not have to be tied down to completing every single page, because we're going to help you out here too. The purpose of your refinance, again, you want to make sure you're letting the system know whether it's a purchase, cash out refi, no cash out refi. This is only for refinances here. So it's a little weird, but you got to do the drop down and this refi section here. We do construction loans. I have not moved that up here, but this is something that you guys can complete if you're doing a construction loan. And here is the other section that is important for you guys to complete here. Estate will be held in what? Leasehold or fee simple. 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time is fee simple. Leasehold is usually like a manufactured home that's in a land lease. I don't know if we're offering those just yet, but please make sure you guys are putting this, because DURLP is going to state estate error. And you're like, what? So it's just letting the system know it's a fee simple property. Manner which entitled will be held. If you don't know, it's okay. You can just click other. So just leave that, you know, click that as other. This is all going to populate from your first page, your borrower summary, everything that you completed. So that's the cool part. You know, when you do the borrower summary, a lot of it is going to trickle down to your appropriate ERLA pages. Here is where you would go ahead and do your proposed payment. So right here is where you want to go ahead and add your insurance. Let's say you have a different type of taxes. Let's say there's mellow rules, anything like that. This is where you want to put all that. For a purchase, for a refinance, normally we go off of what is on the assessor's page and divide that by 12 and put that here. If you have an HOA or a PUD, association due, you want to put that here. For your property taxes, you can click this little edit button, and it should always be purchase price. I always go with the 1.25. I know certain places, like certain areas of Compton, areas where there is mellow rules, you're going to have to go appropriately based on that, because their tax bracket is higher. So you want to make sure you guys are taking a look at that. And then you can click OK. So once you do that, as you can see, it already calculated the purchase price times the 1.25 rate onto your monthly amount. For mortgage insurance, conventional, you do have to price out. FHA, you're simply going to hit Get MI. And it does it for you. As you can see, guys, this is something that I have noticed that does happen, is sometimes some of our loan officers like to manually input, and they'll go in here and put 0.85, right? Because everybody knows that our monthly mortgage for FHA is 0.85, right? But once you pass that high balance rule and you hit that Get MI, your mortgage insurance goes up by 0.20%. So you need to make sure for FHA, you guys are clicking that Get MI, because let's say we do 0.85 and we hit OK, we're at 510, right? But our processors are everyone, they're going to check this, and then they're going to go ahead and click OK. And guess what? Look at the difference. It's $120 difference. So that is huge on your DTI. I've seen it happen where it kills your deal because you don't hit that get MI on an FHA deal. And it's a big percent, it's $110. So make sure when you guys are doing that on your mortgage insurance to click this little button on FHA and hit that get MI. It only does it for FHA. For conventional, we do recommend for you guys to go to like Essent, or I think Genworth still does it, or Radian, and get an MI quote. So if you guys don't know how to navigate that, please feel free to contact us. We will help you and we can calculate it here and we put it on here. Let's say it's a conventional loan. They have a 740 FICO. So their mortgage insurance can be 65%, or, you know, and then you change that here. And we usually put 360, but of course we know with conventional, it's 120 months for the, a certain amount. And then the rest of the 240 months is a different bracket, the way the mortgage insurance is broken down. But again, for FHA, just please make sure you guys are clicking that get MI button. And again, if you have association dues, just make sure you guys are putting them on here, because here's where you're going to calculate your DTI based on their income. So now let's say we've got all these fees in there. If you have seller credits, this is the page where you guys will put your seller credits. So as you scroll down, you don't need to complete any fees. Again, we're going to do that for you based on contract information as well as your escrow estimate. Our disclosure department will input fees. You don't have to worry about that. But if you do have seller credits and you want to update that, this will be the page for that. Again, it's your IRLA lender. Here under credits, you just click this little button and you'll add your credits. So this is going to populate on your estimate and let you know how much your borrower needs to bring in. So this is usually the only thing that a lot of loan officers want to know, where to put the seller credit. This is where you will put that. The only other thing you need to complete in this section, they have now added whether it's a web-based or face-to-face counseling. So let's say they're doing CalHFA or Home Ready or Home Possible or the Fannie 3%, I think it's the Fannie 3% down. This is where you would give us the information whether or not the borrower has completed the class. They do need to complete the class before we fund the loan. So just keep that in mind. It is within the last 12 months, but it must be done before they fund the loan. Now I go ahead and go to my IRLA Part 1. So my IRLA Part 1 is basically going to just be citizenship. So whether they're a US citizen, permanent residents, if they are DACA, you want to put non-permanent and you just put DACA here. Whether they're married or unmarried. If they're unmarried, it's going to let you know, do they have a legal spouse who can claim any type of legal rights? This is usually a domestic partnership. So yes or no, usually it's a no. If it's a no, then we know that there's not a registered domestic partnership, so we can move on. Whether they have any dependents and their ages. Again, this will already trickle in from page 1 of your IRLA, your borrower's summary IRLA lender, but if you didn't complete it, you can complete it here. Here is where your, again, your address information would go. Let's say they're purchasing a secondary home or an investment and they want the mailing address to be the same as their current. You could go ahead and place that here and it'll automatically populate it for you. It'll ask you here for military status and language information. So whether they're military or not. This is important only because if we do have your, let's say your loan officer assistant or your processor that's contacting your borrower, we want to make sure that we can communicate with them, or if we have to refer them back to you communicating with them. Because here we only have English and Spanish speakers. So we can put their language here. And then we're going to go to your page 2. So as you notice, it's pretty easy to navigate through this. It's a relatively easy program. Actually, it's one of the best programs I've seen out there. Here will be their employment information. Of course, we definitely need to know how long they've been in their employment and their position. So if you can get us the phone number for HR, that'd be perfect, because we will be ordering verification of employment for you. If this is a person who is a self-employed borrower, you want to click that here. and whether or not they have 25% or less shares or 25% or more shares. If they are 25% or more, you can place their income here. And it'll automatically gray this out. And if you notice, now that I have placed some income, it has given me my DTI. If they have additional employment, let's say they work as self-employed, but they also have a part-time job, we can put that on here. Do keep in mind, if they do have that employment for as a secondary job, it needs to be at least 2 years. So just, if it does not apply, you can just click does not apply. This is a previous employment. If they are at this job for less than 2 years, we're definitely going to need for them to provide a previous employment information. Let's say you went in and started typing in here because you forgot that this is additional and you started typing it in here. It's okay. You guys don't have to erase and then copy it down here. You can simply click your show VOE, show all VOE, I'm sorry. Click the second job or whatever job that you made a mistake on. Scroll down here where it says employment is, and you can put prior. Once you hit close, as you notice, it disappeared from here and it'll automatically go down here. And this just avoids you having to retype everything. So saves you a bunch of time. If they have other income sources, this is where you would put whether it's alimony, child support. We have people that have had foster care, housing allowance. Usually the housing allowance for military is going to be here, military entitlements. So housing allowance are you can use the variable housing allowance in military qualifications. As long as it's in their verification of employment, you can put that here. So that's not the same housing allowance as this. Pension, royalties, Social Security, all that would go here in this section. So especially when you have like, like retirees that are getting Social Security, you don't need to complete all of this. You simply click the does not apply button and go all the way down, and you'll put whose is it, whether it's the borrower or co-borrower, whether he's getting permanent, let's say pension or Social Security. This is where you would put that income right here. So let's say you did complete all this and you don't need it or you're not going to use it. You can also just click this delete button and hit OK. So you don't have to tab through everything and delete it. It'll automatically go ahead and delete it for you. And then you can just use the income that is down here. So your page 2 will be income. Your page 3 is going to be assets and liabilities. So here's where you would put your banking information, whether it's for your borrower, what account type it is, the financial institution, account number, and the cash value. So in this cash value, just keep in mind, guys, if you guys are doing 401k money, we can only use 60% of the 401k funds, unless they have pulled them out prior and have already deposited into the account, because some 401k accounts let you liquidate them. So if you do liquidate them and you want to just go ahead and make sure that you're notating your checking account and the amount that it's going to have. If it's done within 2 months prior to the transaction, we are going to need to see the retirement statements anyway, because we need to know where that money came from. Remember, sourcing funds. So just keep that in mind, the 2-month rule, to just make sure that when you're sourcing funds, you have those fund sources properly here. Other assets, we don't, and I mean, this sounds funny, but we don't care about the cars. We don't care about boats. We don't care none of that. What we want here only is if your borrower is getting pending sale net proceeds only. This is the only reason we need this completed here. If the borrower is selling another home and they're getting money from that pending sale, this is where you would complete that. So if they're getting 150,000 because they're selling their home, this is where you complete those assets. They do not go up here. They go down here because we know that where that money is going to come from. And that way DUNLP is going to let you know what we're going to need for that particular item, just like the income. wherever you put the income, if you notate the file, hey, it's a self-employed borrower, it's gonna tell you what you need. You put social security and pension, DUNLP will tell you what you need to see for that particular item, whether it's income, whether it's assets, anything like that. Of course, once you've run credit, it's not going to auto-populate your liabilities. You do want to go ahead and click import liabilities. It'll generate and tell you, do you want to import it? It'll show you all the liabilities. You click OK. In this case, it's going to tell me I don't have liabilities to import because I don't have a credit report. But once you click OK, it'll populate them all in here in the chronological order of usually the highest debt to the lowest debt. But always open your show all VOL to make sure that you guys are taking a look at if your liabilities, like for instance, I've seen borrowers who have self-reported cell phone bills or self-reported utility bills. You want to exclude those. So when you go and look at a liability and you see anything, and it's usually, I believe it says like revolving, and it's it'll say util or something like that. If you see something like that, I've seen it happen where it's a cell phone bill and it's a $350 utility bill. Well, I don't want to show that because it's not something that in reality we account towards their liabilities, right? It's usually credit cards, card payments, anything like that, not utility bills. So I'm going to hit my show all VOL, and I'm going to put here, this is a cell phone bill. We don't need to account for their cell phone bill. And this note here, it's on the creditor's comments. Why? We want to make sure when our underwriter comes and see it, understands, oh, okay, this is why they excluded it. And then you'll scroll down and hit exclude here, and it'll exclude it from your DTI. Other liabilities and expenses, guys, keep in mind, if you do have an installment account and you see that it says County of LA or County of something, wherever it is from, right? And you see that it says 750 and 750, usually it'll tell you, unless they owe a large amount here, it'll match. When you're when you run DURLP, it is going to exclude this from your liabilities. Why? Because the system will automatically exclude less than 10 payments on installments, not on leases, on installments. If this is a child support and he or she is currently paying that child support, it is not going to pick it up. So what you do want to do is you want to go ahead and bring that liability down here. So you're going to hit who it belongs to, whether it's the borrower or co-borrower. What is it? Are they paying alimony or child support? Sometimes it's other child support, and you'll click here 750. On your DTI, you'll see it doubled, but again, you want to go to show on VOL. You'll click that installment, and you can put move to other and exclude and close. Why? Because now your system's going to read it with your DUNLP. It will not read it for some reason with the credit. So this is super important, guys, because if you have that child support that is still continuing, you want to make sure that they're actually being hit with that child support if they're still liable for that child support. If you have an IRS payment, this is where you would put it. You do not add it to your liabilities. You click whether it's borrower or co-borrower, other, and you could put IRS installment. And then you put the monthly amount. So whatever that monthly amount is, it's right here. So the reason we do that is because when your underwriter goes to view all this, we need to make sure we're creating a narrative, right? Or creating a story. So we're letting them know, hey, I know it's here. My DURLP did not read it, so I had to move it down here and exclude it from up here. So there is a rule. If you have an installment payment that's less than 10 payments, you can exclude it. Not a lease payment. So keep that in mind, guys, because I've seen people exclude lease payments. You cannot do that. You cannot pay lease payments off unless you get a letter from the lessor that's stating that they are they're no longer liable for that lease, and they must have a free and clear car if they're paying it through the transaction. So just keep that in mind, guys. Those are things that do come up in underwriting. If you do have a lease payment, you cannot pay it off through the transaction unless you have a paid in full vehicle and you have a letter coming from the lessor that's stating that you do not owe anything on that. If you have something that is an installment loan, let's say it's an installment and they owe $3,000. Their car payment is $450. Well, guess what? It's less than 10 payments, right? You do not need to click the exclude button here. What you want to do in this case is you want to make sure you put 810 right here, and it'll state number months to exclude from installment debts. So the system, once you close it, will automatically update your DTI excluding that. You can exclude them. FHA has a certain rule based on their monthly income. So you guys want to come check with me on that guideline. But with those, you can exclude those payments because obviously we do the math, 450 times 10 is 4,500, right? So we know this is less than 10 payments. I have had borrowers who will pay down this amount so long as we can source that they actually have those funds to be able to exclude this amount, you can exclude it. So the other thing completing here is your REO. So all your REOs will go here. Let's say you do have, this is a refinance and you're paying a mortgage. How you will go ahead and attach it. To all that much. Is you can go ahead and click here and click subject property. Let's say, of course, I know I have it as a purchase right now, but let's say it's a refinance. And then you can link your liability right here. Once you click link, you hit your mortgage, you hit okay, and automatically it will populate your liabilities here. In this case, it looks higher because I have it as a purchase, of course, right? But let's say you have a borrower who, let's say it's not the subject property, but you have a borrower who has a current home, somewhere else, but it's a departing unit. You can put primary and it will be used as an investment. And here is where you would put that they're going to hold it. So this here is sold, pending sale, rental, and hold. So they're going to hold it because it's not currently a rental yet, right? And then here you can complete the address. Now, you want to hit your show all VOM here because in order for you to put the appropriate rent, you want to go in here. And you can also attach liabilities here if you want. And you're going to go ahead and put your gross rent. Let's say they're renting it for $3,500. And I'm going to erase that because it's picking it up from the current liabilities of the current loan I'm doing. But you can only give them a 75% rental. If you notice, this has now done the math for you. It's 3,500 minus 1,200 at 75%. You can only use 1,425, right? But let's say this mortgage payment does not include tax and insurance. You need to make sure you guys are adding that because this is going to be wrong if it's not, if you don't check that on there. I had a situation where they had it like this, but they never included the tax and insurance because they never verified in the mortgage statement that the tax and insurance were not impounded. So I had to add that. And the property had an HOA. So this was like about $750. And that's a huge difference, as you can see, because now I have to add separate expenses on here. So you want to make sure you guys are completing this appropriately if you're doing a departing unit. And again, this is just page 3 will always be your assets, liabilities, and your REOs. And last but not least, your page 4. Your page 4 is going to ask you a little bit more of your loan property information, as well as any type of rental income if you're giving it, gifts or grants, and all of your declarations. So here, just make sure, again, this is all going to, of course, generate from a lot of the other pages we already completed, which is the cool part. So you don't have to, double complete items. On the construction method, again, here's that second section that I mentioned that you guys need to put that site built, because again, it will give you that error if it's stating construction method error. So make sure you guys are completing that on this section as well. This one here, guys, remember, if they have any other mortgages, you do need to put it on here. Let's say they're doing a Cal HFA. Here is where you would add your second mortgage for that. So pretty much what you do is you just click your view all additional loans, you hit plus, and you start completing the items of what it is. So usually your account type will be a mortgage, because Cal HFA is considered a mortgage, not a HELOC. And your lien position. So our lien will be first. So this will be a second position. If they're doing like this, the Cal Plus, you hit a plus button and you're gonna do lien position 3, right? Because they're gonna be doing the first and the second, or first, second, and third. So this is where you would put that, and it'll ask you for the loan amount here. So this is where you would complete your sections for your Cal HFA. I'm just gonna click OK, because if you're buying units, and I know it does say for purchases only, but this is also for refinances. If you're refinancing units, you can go ahead and complete that section here. But let's say this is units, they're buying 3 to 4 units, and we're giving them, let's say, I mean, 1,200 is low, I know, but let's say it's a 4 unit, and we're gonna give them 3,600 for all the other 3 units and 75% of that. So you wanna make sure you guys are completing that properly as well. So this is also on your page 1, just so you guys can know. It is also here on your, your origination. It's also here if it's a primary. I like to complete it back here or up in the front. It just doesn't, I like to just go step by step. If this does not apply, you can just click does not apply. If this does not apply, you can just click does not apply. Here is where you guys put your gifts, guys. I know that up here on the assets and liabilities, you have your bank account. You don't put gifts up here. You go to your page 4. Again, you're letting the system know what information to spit out for you, right? So you want to complete it in the appropriate sections. Here, you go ahead and put your borrower, whether it's a gift of cash or gift of equity. Usually it's a gift of cash. If they have not given them the gift, make sure you guys are putting no on deposited. If you put deposited, it's not going to read it. It's only going to read what is up here. The reason for that is because the system is assuming that that gift has already been deposited into the borrower's accounts, whether it's a checking or a saving. So if it has not been deposited, put no. What your source is, whether it's a parent or a relative, and your amount. So again, the system is going to now read what I need to source these funds, right? It'll probably just tell you source the deposit, if it's being wired directly to escrow, and a gift letter. So you want it, this is how you would let your DU or LP know where that money is coming from and what you want. What information are they going to require from your borrowers to be able to source these funds? Now the declarations, of course, you guys can go ahead and read through all these. They're actually, I literally can summarize them all for you really fast. Will you occupy this as primary residence? Yes, it's FHA. Did you own a property, another, in the last 3 years? Again, if they're having a departing unit, yes. But if this is a first-time home buyer, then no. And then you don't need to complete this section. This is for purchases only. This is just stating, are you affiliated to the seller of the transaction? Yes or no. It's only for purchases. You don't need to do it for a refi. Excuse me. Are you borrowing money for the transaction? This is nothing to do with Cal HFA. Okay, this is if you're borrowing it from a third-party source. If you're borrowing this from a third-party source, you need to disclose additional debts, right? We need to go back and place any additional liabilities here. Because remember, if they're borrowing those funds and it's a monthly amount, you do need to disclose that information. So that is that. Are you borrowing the money? Most of the time it's no. Will you be applying for another mortgage? Even if it's Cal HFA, you don't need to put yes, because again, you're already sourcing that information on your liabilities. On your liabilities up here. on this HELOC here, because remember, there's no monthly payment on those. Will you be borrowing or applying for new credit cards, anything like that? That should be no, and make sure you guys are telling your borrowers not to run their credit anymore. Will you have a subject lien on regards to clean source? So keep in mind, there was a new rule or ordinance or whatever passed that new constructions, I believe it was from 2020 or 2021, I believe, I don't remember the rule, the actual rule right now. They're requiring clean energy source. What is that? Your solar panels. So will there be a subject lien for that? And trust me, a lot of these new these contractors, they're not adding it to the purchase price. They're making you buy it separately. So just keep that in mind if this is a yes or a no. Usually it's a no because a lot of these houses are so let's say, for instance, you're buying a house that has solar panels and they have to assume that loan. Make sure you guys are making sure you are aware of that, because you do have to add that to the liability, okay? Because it does become a new liability, and it's a liability, not a part of your payment up here on the lender page. So just keep that in mind. It is a liability. It's kind of like a credit card, so it would go here. So you do want to make sure you guys are asking about that and how much that amount is, because you do need to add it to your back-end ratio. Are you a co-signer to or guarantor to another debt that was not disclosed? Well, remember, guys, everything must be disclosed, so this should be no. Are there any outstanding judgments against you? Should be no. Federal debts should be no. Have any personal liabilities or lawsuits where they're a personal financial liability? Why do they want to know all this stuff? Is because your DTI is going to be determined by that. This is important, guys. If you have a borrower who has a federal debt, if it's a student loan or any type of federal debt and you're going FHA, make sure you guys are asking for our help to run Cavers. If they have a Cavers hit, you cannot go FHA. So make sure you guys are following up on that, because it's really important, guys, because if you're trying to go FHA and they have a Cavers hit, they cannot go FHA if they have a federal debt. So how can they clear that up? It depends on the debtor. So I had a borrower who had student loans in default, but they became a federal default. He had a Cavers hit. Luckily, we were able to buy with only the wife who had no issues, right? But they weren't legally married, so that was the cool part too. But if I would have had to add him with that Cavers debt, I wouldn't have been able to qualify with an FHA debt. So you guys need to make sure that they are aware of this, because they need to remedy that. How do they remedy? Again, it's up to the debtor. They probably have to come current. They will probably ask for, 3 consecutive payments. It really depends on them how they can remove that Cavers hit. It can take 3 months to a year to remove that Cavers debt. So just make sure you guys are checking that out when you run credit. Again, deed in lieu of foreclosure, just be honest. The system's not going to fail you if you put yes or no. If they have had a foreclosure in the past 7 years, a deed in lieu of foreclosure, or a short sale. If they've had a bankruptcy, again, just be honest. The system's going to pick it up anyway. So we've had it happen where people put no and it comes up on LexisNexis after. So just make sure you guys are just being honest with these. And if it's a yes, you just click on what chapter it is. The demographic, if you guys did not do a face-to-face, you can do telephone interview. Just make sure you guys are putting not applicable on these sections here. If they don't want to disclose, you can put, but just make sure you're marking both of these off if they don't want to disclose their information. If they do disclose it and it's a Hispanic other, let's say, they're from, Costa Rica, then you put that here. This is, of course, for the HMDA reports, just so you guys are aware. But if they don't want to go ahead and disclose any of that, you can just make sure you guys are marking both of these here. Again, whether male, female, or do not want to disclose. Your information will auto-populate once you guys complete that first section as the LO. And that is pretty much the navigation of Encompass. The other thing I want to just show you guys, when you guys are uploading your documents, it'll be here, your e-folder, your file manager, and you're simply going to drop them here on your unassigned. So you will drag and drop. It does take, it will take PDF, it will take Word, and it will take JPEGs. It won't take Excel. So you guys want to make sure that if you have any Excel, you drop that in here as a PDF. So you want to convert it. Again, you don't have to bucket it. You won't even have buckets actually. So just drop it in here and just name it what it is so that we can go ahead and take a look at it. If it's a pay stub, you know, all that good stuff. Does anybody have any questions on Encompass navigation? So when you are doing your submissions, let's say you have a deal. Again, remember, we're going to put TBD on our address. This is the form, and I'm going to go ahead and shoot it over to you guys that you guys are going to need to complete. And it's super self-explanatory. Basically, it's just your borrower's information. The subject address would go here. And you will go ahead and you pretty much complete the program information here. Why do we want this remarked here? Is just simply because we want to make sure you guys are completing this system correctly and making sure you guys gave us the appropriate information here. If you're going to charge origination points, you place that here. You can just do 1%, or if it's a flat fee here. The rest of the fees we don't need you guys to complete. If you did charge the borrower the credit report, you can place that here, which is $29.50 for one, or $50.25 for a couple. The other thing I wanted to show you guys here is if you're going to add a secondary borrower, again, let's say this is not a married couple, you're going to simply click this little manage buttons. You're going to hit your add, and here is where you would go ahead and complete your second borrower. So borrower 2, and then you just hit close, and now you have 1 of 2, right? So now you can go ahead and basically do the same thing on the whole application for your borrower 2. So now you got to complete your borrower 2's information. So it'll just be the same exact thing. For borrower 1, borrower 2, you just go ahead and complete that information. And that is navigating Encompass. Did anybody have any questions? All right, so if you guys don't have any questions, the last thing that I'm going to go ahead and show you is I'm going to show you guys just how to simply set up your Simple Nexus as well as your Surefire. So this is just basic. Simple setting up. I'm going to hold, and the only reason we haven't done it lately is only because we've had a lot of really cool information classes come on board. So I'm just going to do the simple setup that we want you guys to initiate once you guys get all this information, because it needs to tie into certain things, right? So for Simple Nexus, it's always going to be your email address. And of course, your password, you will end up setting it up when you get your link. And it does do this. If you're going to sign up in another computer, it's going to definitely ask you for that one-time code. Oh, excuse me. Unless you go ahead and put it to, and it'll only remember for 2 weeks. It just does that for security reasons. So for this one, for Simple Nexus, what I want you guys to do is basically go in and go to your settings. So they'll always land on your dashboard. And you're going to go to your settings, open this up, and you're going to do app settings. On your app settings, it's here, and it's pretty straightforward. You're just going to go ahead and add, edit your information based on how you want it to show up. Add your picture. You just click the little add new or upload new. I have now triggered to open adding links. So the adding links part, and I just kind of want to show you guys. When you guys go in, it's going to look like this to your app. It'll show your information, your picture, you know, your license, the company NMLS license. And when you add that link, like for your website or your Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, that's where you would place that here. So you basically, again, just the same as I showed you guys on the other one, you just simply add a link. And when you hit the add link, it's going to tell you what link do you want it for, right? So, and then you can add those links. So when your borrower downloads your app and they click this link, they're able to navigate through your Facebook, through your Encompass, your Instagram or LinkedIn without having to go search for you. Your company website, if you add the link for your company website, it'll automatically go ahead and allow for them to visit your company website and navigate through your website through your app. So they don't have to go through different sources to save, right? So that's why it's important. For you guys to complete those information. So the biggest thing that you guys want to complete is make sure this information is correct and you have uploaded your picture, you have added your links for your social media, and if you want to place a bio. So you can place that bio here. And if you had other licenses. So for instance, here I have my California license. I haven't added my other licenses here, but you can add your licenses here. And that, again, just basically will look like this for your borrower to see that information. And from that app, they can call, text. Let's say they lost your number or they forgot your name, because it's been so many years or something, but they always kept, people rarely delete apps from their phone, right? But they remember, oh, you know what? I have the application. Well, guess what? They can call, text, or email you from there because your information will be populated based on the information that you complete on here. So make sure you guys are updating that. And another thing is that really cool is they can share the app. So let's say, hey, I have a cousin who wants to buy. Hey, let me share this app with you. And they simply can click this share app and either send them the link or send them a text message with that information, or even I believe it even pops up a QR code that the other person can, scan and download your application. So, this is the cool part about this. What does Simple Nexus do for us? So let's say you're within a transaction. And as the transaction is progressing, goes to processing, it goes to initial disclosures, it goes to processing, it goes to underwriting, it's got conditional approval, it went back to underwriting, or it's got clear to close. They will be receiving those updates through the transaction in a cool little general video, so it's not actually personalized. It will have your information on the signature portion of it, but it'll say, congratulations, your file has now gone into underwriting. What do you expect? What is it to be expected in this period? And it gives them this cool little video on what to expect in that milestone. Congratulations, you have conditional approval. What do you expect in this milestone? So all of those little updates are from this portion here. So this is the, and also you can co-brand. So let's say you want to share this with your okay, brain farted. Your real estate partners. If you want to share this with your real estate partners, you definitely can. So you're going to end up going down here on this little panel. You're going to click on contacts and you can click on partners and add a partner. You can share the app with him or her. And basically, let's say they're sharing the app with a new buyer or borrower. Well, once they've shared that app, guess what? It's going to be co-branded. It's going to have his information as well as yours. And the cool part of it is you're going to always be, moving around. Let's say that borrower that he shared it with shares it with another buyer or another client or anything like that. You're constantly going to always be top of mind with that application and co-branded with your realtor partner. So how you add new partners here is you just simply click add new and place their information here. And it's going to have you go through the steps. I've added here. I can delete him. He's my guinea pig. So this is my husband and I use him as my guinea pig. So I can add him. And it'll click continue. And you can personalize this for them. So let's say they, we know how realtors sometimes are. They don't want to do a lot, right? Well, you can go ahead and add their stuff for them. You can click and add his picture. And then crop and save, add a logo. Crop and save. And now, as you can see, the information is going to be shared like that. So here, if you want to, let's say you want to add a button for him to have a button with his website, you can do that. We can skip that for now. And then here, what it's going to do is going to say, hey, I'd like to invite you to download my application as my realtor partner. And then you can just hit send. And guess what? Now he has gotten a message as a text message. If I added his email address, it'll also send him an email and say, hey, I want to add you as a partner, download my app. And as soon as he goes ahead and adds the application, he can do that. Let's say he erased your text message or your email. Well, you can just click again and share the app and just resend it to him. Or let's say you want to send it to one of his realtor partners. One of his borrower partners. You can share with a borrower already text a co-branded app. So that's really cool that you can literally, let's say you have 20 realtor partners and whenever they send you a referral, you can simply click share this app and it's going to co-brand it with a borrower. So you just simply put their name and phone number and send the text and it'll co-brand the app with your realtor partner as well as yourself. So this is for that. Any questions for Simple Nexus?
Yes, I do have one question.
Yes.
I went to download the app through, I got an email saying like, hey, like this is your app, click the link to download it through the App Store. And it was saying that the app was not available in my area. And I tried a few times, I tried a few different things, and it still was not allowing me to access that app.
Yeah, so we're trying to fix that right now. It was I guess they had to like pay for it and then it's something that happened with the App Store, but I thought they had already fixed it. So, because we've been on it since Friday. So thank you so much for letting me know, because I was actually trying yesterday to see as well, but it's just an App Store issue. It's not the actual app. So let me go ahead and I was actually going to ask them yesterday. It got a little crazy yesterday that I forgot. So I'm going to definitely go ahead and make sure that I let them know, because yeah, we do have borrowers that have told us on Friday that they haven't been able to have it. So whoever has it can see it, but who doesn't, it's still not showing. So I'll definitely get that remedied.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. For Surefire is going to be your marketing materials. This is where you are going to do your drip campaigns, your single property websites, flyers, anything like that. So again, for today, we're just going to go ahead and do the simple setup. And I will give you your login, your password. Once you get that link, you have to, I think you just have to go in and click forgot password and I'll send you an email and you set it up. I don't know why it does it like that, but it does. So you're going to get here to your dashboard. You're going to click my account, my profile, and you can do it one of two ways. You can click edit profile, or you can just go here, because it's no matter what, it's going to bring you here. And here you want to go ahead and update again your information. So you want to make sure you're putting, if you want to put your company website, which would usually, we don't mind you guys placing your website information here, because we know, we're loan officers. We want to make sure we're also, branding ourselves, right? So usually your user mail address, I go ahead and put the company address here because that's the address that you're going to use for like your flyers and all that stuff. Your mobile information, if you have a primary number, like some people like to use a Google Voice number or something like that. If you want to use a toll-free number, you can do that as well. Your social media links, you want to put all your social media links here, because once you go to start sharing some things, you want to be able to make sure you have all that cool stuff on here as well. And then you click save changes. On this particular one, once you guys start using anything like that, it is going to ask for you to get approval. I check it the minute it comes in, so it doesn't go more than 24 hours, whether it's myself or Christopher. We're always checking updates on here, so we make sure that your any updated information is being viewed and accepted. So that's pretty much all you would need to update here on the edit profile, and then your edit picture. So you do want to make sure that you are adding your picture on here, because this is what you, is going to be on your flyers. So just make sure you guys are updating your picture on here. And usually it already has your logo. If it doesn't, just let me know, I'll shoot it over to you, because usually it auto-populates the user logo no matter what. So that is how to set up. This one's really simple. It's super, super straightforward. Now, to add contacts, you're simply going to go to your contacts, and you're going to click your view all contacts. And here is where you would add yourself as a contact. And the reason I say add yourself as a client contact and use a personal email address, not a company address, is because let's say you want to start setting up drip campaigns or anything like that. You want to be your own, test dummy, right? You want to make sure that you're checking it out and seeing it, that it's actually working appropriately. So I highly recommend you adding yourself as a contact first, so that you can start testing out certain drip campaigns or stuff like that you want to send out. Keep in mind, the minute you add a contact and you put their date of birth, it's like, for instance, me, my birthday was on the 17th. And trust me, I didn't even add this drip campaign. It automatically sent me this little message. So once you put their date of birth, it automatically is going to send out a little, message, and it's co-branded, so it's really cool. Like, I sent myself a birthday message. So add yourself as the contact, put their date of birth. Let's say they already bought with you. You can place their anniversaries. It'll allow for you to place certain things on there, so that you can go ahead and set up certain drip campaigns. Now, another cool part of this is, let's say you have a husband and wife that went ahead and bought with you. And once you start placing their information on here, it's going to allow for you to add a spouse. So once you have them on here, you can tie them in. Let's say it's a referral partner and you want to co-brand with them when stuff comes out. You can simply click your referral partner on here, which is really cool. So make sure that you guys are completing that stuff, especially when you do click on new clients, and you're adding, who your referral partner was with that client. Like I mentioned, I co-branded with that referral partner, and I got a birthday card with him as my co-brand. So and that was simply because I put my date of birth there. So that's the really cool part about this, is it'll automatically set up certain drip campaigns for you guys without you even realizing it. Another thing is when you're adding, so this is the same part is where you add contacts as a real estate agent or a client. Simply when you hit add contact, it's going to let you know the contact type right here, whether it's a real estate agent, a referral partner, a lead, a client. I just use client and real estate agent. Unless you have other type of drip campaigns, then this would change, of course, right? When you do set up a new one and you're just going through this, you want to just fill out as much information as possible. The employment information here is for your realtors. Make sure you guys are completing that, because most realtors, of course, want their addresses for their office, the company name, title, and their license number. It's right here. So make sure you guys are putting all that information here for sure, because again, if you're going to be doing your flyers, this is where you need to complete all that information. Once you hit create, then this is how you can add their pictures and stuff. It's going to populate it here. You click your little 3 dots, you hit edit, and here is where you will add pictures and profile, their profile logo. I have a lot of agents that have first and second logos, right? The first is usually their main company, whether it's Remax, Excellence, Central 21, anything like that. But then they have a team logo. You can add both. So the cool part of it is certain flyers will allow for the double logos to go on there. So you can add those logos. All the rest of this information will actually be when you actually create and add that new contact. But unless you need to edit something, let's say they move companies, let's say they moved addresses, then you can come and do that here. So that will be once you create your contact and click your little 3 buttons and hit edit. And you can go ahead. Now it is going to give you this DPI warning. What this is basically stating to you is that it might be a little blurry. So you want a high resolution, because once you go and it's telling you right here that it will be unsuitable for printing. It'll say may, right? Because it does look a slightly blurry. Because what I did is I downloaded it from the website. Now, let's say you're trying to pick up a client and you want to just start showing them the type of stuff that you have. I would just suggest Googling them, finding their pictures, starting with this, and then later, maybe later, once you start building a relationship, and like, hey, send me your picture. Send me, your picture so that way I can use it for the flyers. And they will. They like it. Of course, they're gonna want a specific picture for their flyers. So you just upload that there. Just so you guys can see why we are always mentioning for you guys to be ready for this. I'm just going to quickly show you because we're pretty much almost done. One of the reasons why I'm very, very big on us making sure we're setting up all these things is here on the panel here. I'm going to scroll these up. It always does this to me, it doesn't cooperate. You're going to open up marketing and you're going to click this single property sites. And I'm just going to show you. Here you can add a listing, but I'm going to show you why this is so cool. Let me go to an active one. Let's visit the site. And once I get in depth with the sites, I'll show you guys how to upload and all that. But look at how pretty this site is, right? It's so easy to set this up. Like it's 10 minutes at the most.
So on site for
these single property sites, for the listings. And look, co-branded. It has payment information. They can manipulate the payment here if they want to. And you as a mortgage realtor can go ahead, mortgage broker or mortgage loan officer, can go ahead and have your information here. It has call to action buttons. But the coolest part of this is it can be a pain to have to do a website and then this and then that, right? Up here, you have your social media links. Once you have signed into your social media links, you can share this link to those social media links without having to do extra work. The only one that's a little bit extra work is Instagram, and I'll tell you why. Instagram, of course, has a size limit. So of course, you're gonna need to kind of go based on the size limits, but you have 6 options on what to show off here, right? So let's say we click this one. So now it's gonna populate a picture for me. So now I'll click that picture. And now I have a picture that I can post on my social media, and it has my agent's info. So what do agents like again? They love free social media items, right? So this has 2 pictures now of the property as well as the information, and it just says just listed, right? So let's say I want flyers. I'm going to click this little paper button here and look at all the flyer options you guys have. So this will be your flyers. Here you will have anything that has like area detail information, and here will be additional information for the area. You can click one on each section, right? So let's say I want to do this flyer. I'm going to click that one, but I also want to do what do people care more about? The schools. I don't know which one is on the schools. This one has this. Actually, they both have the schools. So they're both kind of the same. They just look a little bit different. No, they are the same. They just look different. So let's say I like this one better. And people care more about the school. So I'm going to do that one. Then I create PDF. And it's going to generate it for me. And it's now opened. So as you can see, I have now created a flyer in seconds. And what do agents love when they're doing open houses? Your payment breakdown information. And again, I'll show you guys how all this is populated once we get into these classes of getting a little more in depth of Surefire and Simple Nexus. But as you can tell, I literally in seconds, and guess what? Once you give this link to your agent can do these flyers without bugging you. They can simply go to the website and click this, and they have access to all these flyers without having to log in. So that is super cool because they can print all these flyers themselves. You know, let's say they're going to have a last minute open house and they need flyers. Boom, they have the ability to do so. Let's say they want to go pass out flyers before the open house. These flyers can be passed out, and then this QR code, anybody who scans it will be led back to this website, which is a very interactive website. So like I said, they can basically click on the image, make it bigger, take a look at it. They can look at the recent sales in the area. So it'll show that there. Oh, I want to see what the nearby schools are. You know, I want to make sure that I'm in the district I want to be in, because, you know, that's how us parents think, right? We want to make sure our kids are in the district we want them to be. So it's very, very, very interactive. That's the one thing that I really love about it. It's super interactive. And guess what? This is free to your agents. So they don't, most agents actually pay for these single property landing pages. So this is super cool. Another thing is your, and again, these are just a little small overview of what you guys would get with these marketing materials, is your flyers. These flyers can be drip campaigns or flyers themselves. So again, it's under the marketing tool, just under flyers. And here you'll go to public flyers. And you have a big 128 flyers. If something you guys don't find here, let me know, because what we can basically do is we can email Surefire and create a flyer, you know, rates in reality. You know, I tested it out the other day and I put it on my Facebook. You can co-brand this. You know, you can simply click co-brand and then, you know, click the co-brand dynamic here, hit load. And I have now co-branded my flyer. You can put this on social media. You can download it as a PDF. You can generate a link for it and send it out. You can social media share it.
Do you have the Spanish flyers?
I don't know. I haven't actually messed with all of them, but if we can do that, we can definitely do some Spanish flyers. I believe I actually saw some. But again, you guys have 128 flyers that you can go and use off of here. And again, these can be drip campaigns. So this is just basically to view it. You can clone it if you want and do something else with it. Let's say you want to you like add something else to it. So basically, again, I'm going to host a class for these flyers and how to utilize them and how to do the social media sites. So that would be a whole nother class in and of itself. Because again, we just wanted to make sure that we got you guys set up and getting ready to go and start bringing some loans. Any other questions you guys might have? So this is the time for questions. I'm losing you guys. They're like, okay, we got the info we needed. Cameron, I know you had some questions. Did you have any other questions?
I can't think of any right now other than I actually totally forget which website I was asking you for a one-on-one training with.
I think it was both. You sent me one for Simple Nexus and then for Surefire, but I think that what you wanted was more of this stuff, right? The flyers and stuff.
Oh, I wanted more of the just like marketing materials. I have a Google sheet with about 1,500 real estate agents that I had. It took me about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks to hand type everything in that Google sheet at my previous job. And I wanted to sort of know if there was an easier way to upload those contacts into, I think Surefire is the one.
Yeah, you can actually upload them into both. Now, the only thing is, I'm gonna have to, we're gonna have to see how to convert that, because it's not Excel that we use for that. It's, I mean, it is Excel, but it's, where are my contacts? Here they are. It's, CV something, SVC or something like that. I forgot right now the name of it. I brain farted. But there is a way to go ahead and upload your contacts, and it'll be here like importing contacts, and it's gonna ask you for the that form. So let me find out for you specifically how, because both of the systems require the columns to be like exact. Do you know what I mean? So
Okay.
yeah, like name, first name, last name, email, phone number, it has to be in a specific format. Like for instance, if it has parentheses or hyphens, anything like that, it requires all of them to match. So
Okay.
let me, I'll definitely get that information for you, because it is something that that I've been asked, and I haven't done it myself. I usually do manual because we have very few people that actually do it that way, but I'm definitely gonna get that for you.
Okay, cool.
And they both work the same, which is the cool part. So you don't have to do more work.
Awesome.
Any other questions? Are you good, Cameron? I know we're gonna do our one-on-one, so by Monday, I'll have that information for you so that I can definitely show you that. And then that way I can also show it to everybody else.
Yeah. I think that was, I think I had more, but I can't think of it right now. I'll have
So
to write
write
it down.
it down for us for Monday, for you and I, so that we can, you know, or put him, you know, in a notepad or something, like on your computer or something like that. So that way when we meet up, we can go ahead and put it all together. Because I want to make sure that I, you know, some of this stuff that comes up, like questions like these, is perfect for me, because then I know what everybody else is also looking for. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure that I'm helping you guys as much as I can, of course. But if you don't have any more questions, that's pretty much it. Excuse me. Thank you so much for attending, even though some people left early. And Cameron, again, you know, you can shoot me an email and I'll be available.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.